जी साहब अस्सलाम वालेकुम warahmatullahi wabarakatuh in another segment of Sazo Awaz, and it is my pleasure and always been honored to be with the Premier of Ontario, Honorable Kathleen Wynne, and we are in her office today at Queen's Park. And one thing I always said that it is so nice of the premier that whenever any media, and I can talk about only myself, we need, whether it's a tough time or good time, regardless, she's always accessible. She's always there. She always welcomes us. And today, again, we asked for an interview. And because 2017 just passed and 2018 come in, last few years, all the achievement that you and I have seen it with Liberal government here, right here in Ontario, and what's coming up in 2018. We said goodbye to 2017. So I have with me Premier of Ontario, Honorable Kathleen Wynne. Premier, always pleasure and honor to be talking with you.
Thank you, Abdul. It's wonderful to be here. Assalamu alaikum to everyone, and thank you for visiting me in my office. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And you're right, 2017 is past now, and I think we can look at some great accomplishments that we saw in 2017. We have more than 220,000 students who are attending post-secondary, so they're going to college or they're going to university, and they are not paying tuition. They've got free tuition because of a change that we made in the way that student assistance works. That's a huge benefit to those young people. And then starting January 1st, so it was kind of after 2017, but we made the decisions in 2017. The minimum wage raised to $14 an hour. It rose on January 1st, and then on January 1st, 2019, it will rise to $15 an hour. And that means that people who are working in minimum wage jobs are going to be paid a living wage. They're going to be able to look after themselves. They're going to be able to look after their families. I have to say, since January 1st, I've had people coming up to me and saying, thank you very much.
No, we all have to thank you for that. And sometime on the radio and on TV for last few weeks, ever since this minimum wage has come in, so we were talking about it, that, I feel sorry for those big businessmen or small businessmen. They are saying that they cannot afford it or whatever. But we have to look at each and every person. They all have to make a living. And $14 an hour, I think that is very fair. And when you're going to $15 next year, I think that will make a lot of difference for a lot of families.
And that's what this is about. Our plan is about tackling those challenges that individuals and families face, that will allow them to take part in the economy, that will be much fairer for them. If we want Ontario to be a fair province with opportunity for everyone, then we have to recognize that people are facing uncertainty. So, people who are working on minimum wage haven't seen increases over the last number of years in their wages. They have seen government put in small increases in place, but they haven't been able to move ahead. They haven't been able to catch up. And so that's what this is about. So I was in the airport. I was in an airport just a couple of days ago, and someone who was cleaning the airport, a woman came up to me and said, thank you very much for the increase, So that'll make a difference to her family. We also, on January 1st, the other big change that happened was OHIP Plus, which is the biggest expansion of Medicare in a generation. And what that means is that children from their birth until their 25th birthday can access prescription medication free. Their families will not have to pay for prescription medication. And again, if you have a child who has asthma or you have a child who requires medication, that is a big break. And we've already seen more than 200,000 people benefit from that change. So I'm very proud of the accomplishments that we've been able to achieve over the last year, and as you said, 2018, we're heading into an election in June, and I'm going to continue to work to find ways to make this the fairest province that allows the most opportunity for everyone.
2017, if you look back 2017, whatever you thought that you were going to do 2017, did you accomplish everything or there's anything left?
There's always more to do. I always feel that when I visit a hospital in Ontario, or I go to a construction site, or I go to a community where there's transit being built. The people who are receiving funding or have seen a change, they're always very grateful, and they say thank you, and they're very pleased. But in the next sentence, it's always, but here's our new plan. I was at a hospital in Barrie just a few days ago, and we were doing the announcement in an open space, in an unrenovated space, and we were laughing because we were celebrating the opening of a new cardiac unit, but we also knew, Dr. Hoskins and I knew, that we were going to get a request for the next stage. And that's what building a province is about. There's always more to be done. Communities need support. Families need support. And so it is what government exists to do, in my opinion. Government exists to do the things that we cannot do by ourselves. We have to come together and create that fairness that otherwise wouldn't exist.
Any regret that, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done it?
Oh, never. Anything that I regret in 2017?
Yes.
No. I don't regret the things that I've done in my political career. Have I not responded as quickly to some things as I might have wanted to? Have I not listened on a particular day? I think I'll give you an example. I think that the increasing hydro rates was that was an issue that we should have gotten on sooner. We were decreasing the rates. We took 8% off, but I think that it would have been better for people in the province if we had seen that 25% reduction earlier. And I've said that. I've said to people around the province that we got there, and people have gotten a 25% reduction. But if we'd been able to get there sooner, I think that would have been better.
2018. Everybody have their fingers crossed. What are you looking for 2018?
Well, as I said, there is an election coming, and that's a given. We know that that's going to happen in June. But my job is to continue to do the work of government. My job is to continue to look for ways to support people, to make sure that those plans that we have put in place are implemented in a good way. We'll be bringing in a budget in the new year, in the next few months, and all of that is building on the work that we've been doing. We continue to build roads and bridges and transit. We continue to build schools. The former Minister of Education, Mitzi Hunter, just before the shuffle, made an announcement this past week about building 39 new schools, So we are going to continue to do that work of building the province up. And, that's one of the reasons I brought in a new cabinet. So I made some changes because there were 3 people in the cabinet who are not going to run again, and so they've stepped aside. And so we have some new people in cabinet who are going to carry us into the election and beyond. So I'm very excited about what's coming this year.
Again, Harinder Mali and Indra Naidu, the new faces in full flash ministry. What was the thought behind it?
So Indira Naidu-Harris had been responsible for childcare, and now she is the Minister of Education. She's very excited about that. And because she had been doing all that work on childcare, I liked that continuity, and I think she will serve us very well, serve the people of Ontario very well as the Minister of Education. And Mitzi had been the Minister of Education, and now and one of the reporters said she's graduated, and now she's the Minister for students in college and university, so advanced education. I think that it's a very good fit, and these are both women who are very connected to their communities. They're very connected to what's happening in their communities and understand the importance of publicly funded education. Indira was thrilled. She talked about the fact that education is the reason that she is where she is. It is the most important thing about her life that's allowed her to achieve. So that's the kind of person you want in politics, and that's the kind of person you want thinking about policy for children in this province.
It is not in your jurisdiction, but NAFTA would definitely affect our economy in Ontario. What do you think if we can make the agreement with NAFTA with the U.S. and Mexico? What would be the effect on it?
Well, I've been working very hard to impress upon my colleagues in the United States. I've met with over 30 governors. They all agree that the supply chain and the integrated economy that has been created by NAFTA with Mexico and the United States and Canada is extremely important. But having said that, even though there is a strong understanding, and they understand that there are 9 million jobs in the United States that are dependent on Canada. So they get that, but there's a lot of uncertainty coming out of the White House. There's a very unclear position coming from Washington, and so we have to continue to be vigilant in two ways. I have to continue, and am continuing with my officials, to work with the federal government as they negotiate, and my Minister of International Trade, Michael Chan, and the Minister of Economic Development and Growth, Stephen Del Duca, will be going to Montreal for the next round, and they will be there as the next round of discussions takes place. And then secondly, we have to be prepared here in Ontario if there is a change. And so we're exploring all of the ramifications. So if the president did determine that he was going to unilaterally pull out of NAFTA, which I think would be so wrong-headed, but if he did decide to do that, what are the legal options in terms of falling back on an agreement between Canada and the United States? How would we maybe negotiate a new agreement? We're looking at all of those things. We have to be prepared. We have to be realistic. But I still believe that we can be optimistic, because it is in the best interests of all three countries that we continue to have this strong integrated economy.
In the meantime, of course, are we looking into different avenues like China and anywhere else?
Yes, and that is a given. Since I've been in this role as Premier, as you know, we've traveled together. I've traveled to India, I've traveled to China 3 times. I just came back from China and Vietnam. I've been to Israel. I've been to the United States many times. I've been to Vietnam. I've been to Korea and Japan. We have to diversify our markets. We are very, very dependent on the United States, and so every time I travel with 50 to 100 business people and education leaders, we develop new relationships, we develop new contacts and new opportunities.
You know what, whenever I sit down with you, Premier, it's always 15, 20 minutes go by so fast that, yeah, and I've been just told that, you are busy, and I really appreciate in your busy time, you have given me time to come and talk to you. But I thank you so much, and looking forward to sitting down with you and talking to you again in next couple of months, because the election is coming close too. But to E-Awaz TV and listeners, what's the message?
Well, thank you. Thank you for all you do for your communities. Ontario is a province of, apart from Indigenous people, people who have come from all over the world. And so I am very, very grateful for the Pakistani Canadian community, the Pakistani Ontario community, and I look forward to many, many more contacts and work with you over the years ahead.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.